Hello and thank you for joining me. We are on our flip video lesson for 2.05 Latin American Independence Movements, and this goes along with your Human Odyssey reading pages 401 to 415 and then your student guide pages 262 to 271. So it goes along with your book and it goes along with your student guide. Okay, so make sure that you do have those ready and available as we go through this lesson. Lesson Introduction, Latin American Independence Movements. As the 19th century dawned, Spain and Portugal still held tight control of Latin America, the vast region spanning South America, Central America, and part of North America. But the revolution that had changed France and given birth to the United States inspired people in Latin America to demand independence and republican government for themselves. They faced enormous obstacles in their struggle, and in some ways, their work is still unfinished today. Learning objectives for this lesson. Many of these objectives are covered in detail in the readings from your Human Odyssey book, pages 401 to 415. Describe the social and political structure of Latin American colonies in 1800 or the 1800s. Explain why attempts to establish republics in Latin America were less successful than in the United States. Identify major physical, political, and cultural features of Latin America. Identify significant leaders of the 19th century Latin American independence movements and their accomplishments and failings. So here we start on your student guide, this book right here. Here we start on page 267. So make sure you open that up and you're ready to go. And remember, as I go through this flip video, if you need to stop and pause it when you are watching this on your own, you are more than welcome to do so. That way you can fill them in and be able to do it in a timely manner. Okay? All right, so question number 1. Number 2 and number 3 are covered on this slide. Settlers in the colonies of Latin America belonged to different classes. Peninsulares were Spanish-born officials who carried out the king's will. And you can see over there on the right, they're the top part of that triangle. Creoles formed another class of people in Latin American colonies. Creoles were colonists born in Latin America. Okay, so they were actually born on this side of the hemisphere, or the world. A mestizo is a person of mixed race descended from a Spaniard and an Indian, such as Aztec or an Inca. Location and language. Latin America stretches all the way from the southern border of the United States in the north to the tip of South America in the south. Latin America is so named because the majority of the people there speak Spanish or Portuguese, both of which developed from Latin. Francisco de Miranda and Simon Bolivar. One of the early leaders of the Latin American independence movement was Francisco de Miranda. He learned much about political freedom when he visited the United States. Miranda was chosen by Simon Bolivar to lead an uprising against Spanish rule in Venezuela. Bolivar eagerly read Enlightenment writers such as Locke, Voltaire, and Montesquieu. Miranda's uprising against the Spanish was not successful. Miranda spent his last years in a dungeon in prison in Spain. Eventually, Bolivar led a revolutionary army that freed Venezuela, whose people hailed him the Spanish title El Liberator, which in English means the liberator. Geography and rule over it. So this covers questions 12 through 17. In the South American country of Argentina, José de San Martín was regarded as the greatest hero. San Martín led a rebel army across the Andes Mountain from Argentina to Chile. Bernardo O'Higgins was the Chilean with the Irish family name who became the first leader of his liberated nation. Of all their colonies in South America, the Spanish prized Peru above the rest. After San Martín helped liberate it, he ruled it as protector of Peru. Bolivar did not believe that the people of Peru were ready to rule themselves. He believed they needed strong leadership. Bolivar hoped to form a large nation covering much of South America. Political chaos. Latin Americans often faced political chaos after winning their liberation. This allowed political strongmen, or caudillos, to rise to power. The people of the new Latin American nations did not have a history of electing their own representatives, passing laws, or charting their own future. That's why attempts to establish republics in Latin America were less successful than in the United States. Questions number 20 and 21, their language. Brazil is the largest colony in South America, and colonists there speak Portuguese. When Brazil declared its independence, it was a kingdom or monarchy, unlike the Spanish-speaking colonies, which became republics. Father Hidalgo. Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, which is Father Hidalgo, was a colonist who led a rebellion against Spanish rule. The Spanish captured and executed him, but he is remembered as the father of Mexican independence. The father of Mexican independence, Hidalgo, was not a military leader or a political figure. Instead, he was a priest. Mexico dates its independence to the day on which Father Hidalgo rang the church bell and gave the cry that sparked a revolution. And again, this is a great example, this slide, of where you can get a lot more information in your readings for this lesson. More geography. 3 bodies of water border Latin America. To the west is the Pacific Ocean, to the east, the Atlantic Ocean, and to the northeast is the Caribbean Sea. The Andes Mountains runs down the west coast of South America. Explore and discuss. Now that you've learned about revolutions and liberation movements in both North and South America, consider these questions. What characteristics did colonists and liberation movements in the United States and Latin America share? So the North American and Latin American peoples both wanted to win their freedom from European kings. Both faced resistance to their desire for freedom. Both had to raise armies to fight for their liberation. Both had great liberation leaders such as George Washington and Simon Bolivar, who are still revered today. In what ways were the colonies and liberation movements in these 2 parts of America different? The North American colonies managed to unite to form a single nation. Latin America splintered into many different nations. The United States was able to maintain a representative democracy for its free citizens. In Latin America, many of the citizens fell under the rule of military strongmen. For 300 years, the Spanish had exercised strict royal control over their colonies. In North America, the colonies under British rule had exercised a lot of self-rule. So this is the chart on page 264 and 265. This is required. If you are watching this video during class time, you're probably not going to have enough time to fill this in, but it is important that you take time on your own to watch this flip video, go through the slides, and make sure that this chart is filled in. I guarantee you this will be extremely helpful for you on your assessment. Sorry, let me move that up there a little bit. There we go. It kind of cut off some of that chart on this video. This is not going to do that. We'll go up there a little bit, like that. Okay? So we've got information, Miranda, Bolivar, San Martin, and Hidalgo. So again, you'll need to fill this in when you have time on your own. There are several other optional pages within this session. Please complete on your own if you would like. They are not required. So pages 266 and then pages 270 through 271 are not required. This is just an example of what you would put. If you complete 266, you can see up here the Latin America is in red pencil, South America is in green, although obviously this is black and white and you can't see the color. And then Ask the Revolutionary. So this is a chart. You've got Francisco de Miranda, Simon Bolivar, Jose San Martin, Father Hidalgo. So you can, again, fill this in on your own if you would like. It's optional. You do not have to do it, but it does help with the understanding of this lesson. So it is recommended, but not required. And then we come to the end. Miguel Hidalgo, action must be taken at once. There is no time to be lost. Thank you for joining me for this flip video lesson.